Yeah. Well, I had to do it this morning. It's the band director checks and budgets. Sounds interesting. Like you're the mayor of housing. Handled everything.
It's not.
I was a survivor state.
Oh, for sure. Our kids spoil rotten.
Yes.
So the facts.
And then we try to do something to not spoiled, and then there's so much fault, they're like, what? Give me money for that.
I mean, I just about a month ago, I said, you're doing your own laundry. 13, 16, and
Are
19.
you serious?
Like a month ago.
I'm so confused. I finally started back at 10. They were 10 and all because they waited until I had on.
My oldest is revolting. She's like, I am not doing their laundry. I'm going to just keep it in my room on a separate room. I don't care. All three of those is. Yeah, I dreamt this, which is December the 3, wasn't my choosing, so.
Yeah.
Oh, totally to get after. Yes. Yeah, so it worked out different. Yeah. That's my answer. Was that your whole life or something? I had no say in the matter. Oh, yeah, well, that's all how it starts. That's how mine started, yeah. But at some point, you have to then, when the other person finds out, then you have to make a decision.
Yeah. Make the decision.
Yeah. Well,
So we are waiting for another commissioner to arrive. Early because in the first case, we have two commissioners that have to recuse themselves. So would it be a problem to move the first case back and do our other cases as we wait?
Oh, yeah, please go ahead if you're ready on the other agenda.
Hearing with objections, I think I was going to call the meeting to order. This is the July 19th meeting of the City of Columbus Graphics Commission. I need to swear. Let's go to the first case and I'll swear those persons in at the same time.
The second case.
I'm sorry, I did say first tonight. Second case is GC 22-016, 1980 Arlington Lane with the applicant. Please come forward.
Is your mic on, Liz?
It is, I'm getting closer.
Thank you.
Sir, I swear you in, and I will swear the staff. And as well, swear to all truth and nothing but truth, help you God. I need to repeat your name for the record and affiliation to this case.
Ken Cook,
And you are,
I'm the applicant for the variance.
okay, thank you. Bill,
Jamie Cree, City Council staff.
Adam Trimmer, City of Columbus. Steve Smedley, City of Columbus.
okay, thank you, sir. You may have a seat. Let's see, Mr. Cree, thanks for fitting this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Looks like this microphone's broken, so if you need me to speak up, let me know. Okay, case number 2, GC 22-016. 1980 Arlingate Lane is located at the northwest corner of Arlingate Lane and Gateway Boulevard. The site is zoned M manufacturing and is located within the West Scioto area. 3.23 acre site has recently been developed with an 8,100 square foot office and vocational training center. Surrounding uses include an industrial building to the north, a religious facility to the east, and offices to the south and west. The applicant proposes the installation of a ground sign at the entry drive along Arlingate Lane. The applicant has begun installation of the ground sign by pouring the foundation and is now requesting the variance to reduce the required sign setback from 15 feet to 6 inches. Columbus citywide planning policies state that monument-style signs are recommended in suburban areas and should not be taller than 6 feet. New signage should be designed to be a logical complementary component of the overall design. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the West Scioto Area Commission recommend approval. City staff will recommend approval as the proposal meets the guidelines of the Tacoma citywide planning policies, and the Division of Traffic Management had no issues with the sign setback as far as site compliance. We're not asking for any conditions.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir. You have anything to add to your case?
Not at this time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that they have here.
Does anyone have any questions? Not hearing any, do I have a motion?
Let's see if there's anyone from the audience.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this case? Not seeing any. Any questions? Then do I have a motion?
Just
back. Yes, sir.
for variance requests, again, it needs to be based on a hardship, and so there needs to be some evidence presented related to that. I haven't heard any yet.
Well, in the application, they have a statement of hardship.
Oh, is it in there? So I just wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Has that been moved to, that's an
Put it
evidence?
in the,
this is already in evidence, I believe, because it's part of the application.
yes.
Right.
Okay, all right, just want to double check, thank you.
Is everything stated in this application true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, back to, is there a motion for the finding of fact in this case for?
I'll make a motion to adopt as the finding of fact, the statements made by the applicants in the application, as well as here today, to the extent consistent with any statements by staff.
Just for my understanding, Mr. Fires, would you rather sometimes when it isn't specifically stated, they would read the hardship into the record?
No, as long as it's evidenced, so that it could be considered, on appeal, if that were to happen, that's sufficient, it doesn't need to be stated into evidence.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of the motion, you sign aye, please. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, give me back a second.
Second.
I'm sorry, please give a second. Boy, this is starting crazy. Do I
Second.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, sign aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now do I have a motion based on the finding of fact for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
call the roll.
Ms. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Cooperman?
Yes.
Mr. Hoy?
From here, please.
In a moment.
Chair Thompson?
Yes. And it is approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, appreciate that.
Okay. Then our third case would be GC 22-017, 1432 Hilliard Mill Road. The applicant, please come forward. Sir, I need to swear you in. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Would you repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case?
Paul Lido with Sign Effects Limited, and I'm the applicant, representing the church. And asking for approval of the variance.
Good. Have a seat. Thank you. Which is in the state government.
GC 22-017, 1432 Hilliard Rome Road is located on the southeast corner of Rainier Road and Hilliard Rome Road. It is located within the West Side Area Commission. The 2.60 acre site is developed with a religious facility with an existing manual copy ground sign. Surrounding uses are primarily commercial developments. The applicant proposes to move and update the 64 square foot identification ground sign by replacing the manual changeable copy with automatic changeable copy. Variances are requested to allow two-sided permanent identification sign with automatic changeable copy in a residential district. The Trayview Roberts area plan discourages the use of electronic or digital signs. As such, staff does not support an automatic changeable copy sign. Further, the planning staff, further, the plan recommends signs should not be excessively large. Therefore, the planning staff recommends the applicant reduce the height of the sign to 6 feet or less. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments. The Far West Side Area Commission recommends approval. While the current zoning is R1, the church is surrounded by C4 development, and this application is consistent with the area. Further, this request is consistent with the approval granted by the Graphics Commission in application GC 18044, which was approved in 2008. Another church located within the Far West Side Area Commission boundaries and less than 1 mile from this request. Although the Treview Roberts area plan discourages the use of electronic or digital signs, staff has consistently recommended approval to allow institutional uses such as religious facilities, schools, etc., to display automatic changeable copy. Further, because the Treview Roberts area plan recommends signs should not be excessively large, staff recommends the following condition, and that is that the applicant reduce the height of the sign to 6 feet or less.
Okay, sir, would you like to present your case?
Yes, thank you very much, staff, for your analysis. I agree with everything said. Obviously, they're not in recommendation of it being electronic changeable copy. But along that street, as mentioned, there was already another church less than a mile away that already was granted that and has that. And there's also 3 other signs within 2 miles of that road on Hilliard Rome Road that have electronic changeable copy. American Heating, Coley, Woody's, and State Farm all have electronic changeable copy signs along that road. That intersection, as noted, is surrounded by C4 properties, heavily commercialized. Therefore, we feel that in order for the church to even be seen, because the sign that's right there right now, to be quite honest, is never seen. And it's actually off to the side. It was, I'm not sure if it was put there prior to Hilliard Rome becoming an on-ramp or an access point for Route 70 or not. But it's, as you can see on that road there, that's actually not Hilliard Rome Road. It's taken from near the intersection of Hilliard Rome Road in Renner. And we're looking at moving the sign over closer to the main intersection so it has better visibility, as shown with this map that's on there right now. As far as the overall height, if you stand at that intersection and look in any direction, the smallest sign on any other corner is approximately 15 feet in height. So we feel that being basically 126 inches, we're just about 11 foot in height. So we don't feel it's overly excessive at all for that area, especially for the amount of traffic that flows through that area on Hilliard Rome Road. So that's why we request approval of both variance requests for both the overall height and for the electronic changeable copy. The hardship for this is like every one we typically do for a church where, obviously the congregation is on the older side. And with the harsh weather we get in the winter time, and quite honestly, even in the summertime, to get the congregation out there to change the message can be a little taxing at times. And another reason the church really would like to go this route, as far as hardship go, is where the current sign is located right by a bus stop, and it's prone to a lot of vandalism and basically littering into the sign. The sign actually has like a little planter box around it, and from what I'm told from the elders of the church, it's quite a task just to keep up with keeping the trash picked up around it. And people just sit on the sign and obviously you can change the message on there with the individual letters that are placed on the sign to maybe some not so important for a church. So I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, that's our biggest points right there is that, that intersection is a huge commercial intersection. And we don't feel that we're making it too gaudy or too much out of place. We're paying tribute to the sign that's there, the way we designed it with the cross on the upright. The only difference is the cross is going to light up. Where on the old one, the cross was embedded into the brick. with a concrete accent. And we met with the local community and they were overwhelmingly in favor of this. We got a unanimous approval at those levels at the local community for this. Be more than willing to entertain any questions or thoughts or comments.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this case? Let's see, anyone, are there any questions?
I have a question. Okay.
Go ahead. So you're not okay with the conditions recommended because staff wanted it to be no more than 6 feet in height. Looks like it's,
And
10.5, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Why not?
The 6 foot, we think just makes it too short for the ground. And that would really limit, one, we have it right now so that it's at least 3 foot off the ground so they can put some landscaping around it. If we go to 6 foot high, basically that limits to where you can only do ground cover type landscaping. Yeah, that's a huge drawback to the 6 foot in height. Plus, obviously, we'd have to reduce the size of the changeable copy to something smaller. And
you're going the base down to the 3 feet down and landscape around the base? That should get you down to 7 feet.
That was a part of your hardship was, that it was hard to clean up and manage because of, so if you're saying that you don't agree with the changes because you wanted to have landscape, maybe I'm confused.
well, the current landscaping around the existing sign is a flower box. The sign comes up out of the middle of a flower box that's raised. So it almost acts like a trash receptacle, where this here, that's just a shelf. In the design of the sign, it's just a shelf. So it doesn't really have a concaved area for trash to sit in. So yeah, and plus we're going to be moving the location away from the bus stop area.
Can you address my question about lowering the sign the 3 feet?
I believe our existing one now is right about 3 foot, because you can see it's right about waist high. Is where the bottom of the sign would be.
Tell me why you can't lower it 3 feet.
We could, but I think it's not far off of 3 foot right now, is what I'm saying. The top of the brick.
Now, you said something about you were 3 feet off the ground. Is that the ledge?
Yeah, the ledge that the sign rests on, not the overall height. And we were trying to keep the top of the sign, the 126-inch pillar, the pillar on the side, roughly the same height as the top of the logo. So that's why we rose that side up just for aesthetics. To give some balance.
The sign isn't constructed that, so potentially you could redesign it to move your cross down some and move your ledge down some and pick up a couple feet, couldn't you?
We could, and it'd probably be about a foot off the ground at that point.
Why is there a problem with that?
Like, the only problem it creates is you really wouldn't be able to put much of any plantings around it. Because as the plantings age, they would obviously go up and grow over the sign. Or not over it, but into the bottom, reading the bottom of it. Okay. I mean, that's the only concern there.
Personally, don't hear any hardship. You said that, a bunch of congregations of those would be current members, but they know where the church is, so they come there. I just don't hear any hardship.
And that is the hardship that we always use with churches though, is, I mean, typically it's the elderly of the church who are tasked with changing the message on the manual, changeable copy style. And, you know, having to trudge out through the snow is usually challenging. Just with people being able to alter the manual changeable copy, anybody who walks by can alter that pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the changeable copy. That's the future. But
Yeah.
Because you're requesting 2 variants, one for height and one for automatic changeable copy. So it
That's
sounds
correct.
like these folks here can understand your hardship with respect to the automatic changeable copy, but not the height that
Yeah.
you're requesting.
I mean, we could certainly look at reducing the size and, you know, if we want to kind of meet somewhere in the middle, we could do like a conditional approval or something like that. But
So personally, I'm gonna need you to agree with what the request is, because all I heard was, that you wanted a sign, because the other organizations had a bigger sign in that area. And that's not a hardship.
Yeah, I mean, for the overall height you're referring to?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, if you stand around there, every sign is basically what we call a lollipop style sign.
Yeah, but they may have came to before with a hardship that we could see. That would not relate to a hardship for you because the other organizations have a bigger sign.
Can I ask the staff, what, you guys recommended it to be 6 feet, but they're permitted to go up to 8 feet according to the statute listed on the front page, is that right? It says from the request of variance is from 8 feet to 10.5 feet.
It's, you know. Okay, is it like residential?
Yeah.
Yeah, residential standards for signs, for non-commercial uses, or for other uses in residential districts is 8 feet. But the planning vision has a steadfast recommendation of 6 feet for all ground signs.
I'd be
So I don't understand, why do they need a variance if
happy with it.
if they went to 8 feet, would they need a variance?
No, they wouldn't.
There you go.
Bring it down to 8 feet.
Is there any way I can confer real quick with my client? They are here.
Wait a minute. But we're thinking 8 feet might be a compromise.
Well, you don't need our permission
You
to do
wouldn't
it at 8
need,
feet.
right,
You would amend your application to only request one variance, which
Right.
we clearly said we can see a hardship, but you can go 8 feet, you just reduce it down 2 feet, cut off the legs essentially by 24 inches, I think.
Well, I'd be cutting off the brick there. It's in the foundation, the footer.
Oh, sorry.
So you're cutting off the actual brick by 2 feet.
you could do that, or you can bring your, well, it depends on how you want to do it. Just
Yeah, we'd have to play with the
So
design.
let's go ahead and confer because at this point, we won't approve the size that.
Right, but we could change it.
I just spoke to Mike Boyd, who forgot, but he's now on his way. Okay.
Good catch.
They recommend 6 feet.
Yeah.
They say that for every ground sign. It's sometimes it's warranted, but usually it's ridiculous.
That's what we do. Part of, I think, would be hardship of us having something that's not the same as the area around you. It's part of the hardship.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that time.
Yes.
Saves us having to come back to this. Yeah, we're okay with removing that request, I guess, of the variance to go to the existing height. And just stick with the variance being just for that of the EMC.
So then the sign would be no more than 8 feet.
Right, so then we would adhere to current code for the height of the actual sign.
Okay. Thank you.
Get that done.
Sort of.
Remove, they're going to amend the application to remove the request to vary from 3376.09.
Correct.
So there's only one variance being requested. Oh, wait, they're both at, so it's 3376.09 in parentheses 4. They're removing that from the application.
Okay. Have you agreed on those conditions? So I have a motion for finding fact.
I'll make a motion to adopt as the finding of fact the summary offered by staff. And in addition, these statements made by the applicant in the application and through testimony to the extent those are consistent with staff summary.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, you sign by.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Now we need a motion for approval of it based on the finding of fact.
I'll make a motion to approve the findings of fact that it supports a variance as questioned.
Is there a second?
I'll second again.
Call the roll.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Cooperman,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it was approved as conditioned.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, gentlemen, for case number 1, Mr. Hoy is on his way. They're willing to wait.
We have any other business or other than the,
Well, I can just read the code section that limits the height. So for non-residential uses and residential zone districts, there's a chart. And it's basically the size, graphic area, and height are determined by the lot size. So for example, if the lot frontage, if you have 300 feet or less, you're allowed a sign with a setback between 2 and 15 feet. Graphic area can only be 24 square feet, and the height is limited to 6 feet. If you have 300 feet or less with a sign setback over 15 feet, you're allowed a 32 square foot sign and a height up to 8 feet. And it keeps going, goes 8 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet. So it's all basically proportionate, I guess, is the way it's from.
Yeah, just, when you're recommending a condition that it be less than the amount that you're allowed to have in one reason.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
plan.
we do that in the text and commercial plan developments because they want something greater, so we ask for something less in return. Another typical condition would be landscaping is not required, but we would ask for landscaping.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, that one makes sense.
since I'm going to be recused from the last item,
Yeah.
yeah. Do we have any other business? All right, well then I'm out of here.
Okay.
I just want to put on the record the recusal for that, like, maybe call the case and just put the recusals on the record.
I will do it for him. Yeah, of course.
Is Mike here? Is he coming?
He's on his own way.
Who clicks these?
Obviously, yeah, just leave it in.
Wonder how far.
He's on East Fifth Avenue, so whenever he's on.
All right. He did.
Make sure the thanks.
See you guys.
Say.
See you, Brian. See you guys.
That's, this funny is.
We were talking about off the record since Tony's out.
Just the zoning, what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Everything around those commercial uses then popping together. It's just what's being forgiven.
For the church. They just put it as the church has been there forever. Yes. It's in this people and everything.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Thanks. I mean. Keep moving on.
I'm sorry. There's a three and a half back from Boston. I'll show you. Yes. I'll show you. Watch. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of thoughts. I mean, actually, this is. This one's the on the side with the two, but kind of residential.
Correct. Yeah. Just commercial.
Property, they're splitting the site.
Mhm.
There's, there's nothing in any between space. Just want to start scrolling to the left. It's about 40 for people who do this. Swipe to the left. Yeah, well, middle. This is a mile long. Here.
Save the day.
Then
How you doing? I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Chairman.
Yeah, so, thanks.
a couple.
Thanks for coming back.
I got sidetracked.
Oh, yeah.
I did pretty good.
No, that's twice.
I put you on my location. Did you see that?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Sidetrack
yeah.
Oh, funny.
So you don't need it now.
Now we have to wait for Tony to get back.
Yeah.
We're cheating.
So we clear up. No.
We're good. We went for a lot of wheels. Let's see, quickly, you want.
We're trying to catch it here.
Boy, you took your time.
I gotta figure that out. Well, I parked on the street.
We're gonna get you.
There's a surface lot right by the drive.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stand there.
Okay.
Give
Not very loud.
Well,
Jamie,
Huh?
see, Jamie's doesn't work, so we're gonna give
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Nice.
35.
Who cares about the mic? I'm getting him out here because he's parking.
Oh, I didn't see you were already here, Mike. I'm sorry. Well, shoot.
Oh,
You can talk louder then, if your mic doesn't work.
I will. I'll take it.
you're back with case number GC 22-012. Please come forward. Anyone who'd like to speak to this case, I'd like to swear you in at this time. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Would you repeat your names for the record and your fellow listeners to this case?
Dave Perry, I'm a consultant on this application to Casto.
Eric Leibowitz with Casto. Brett Myers with Casto.
Say that again, sir.
Brett Myers with Casto.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
Excuse me, I'm a neighbor that's across the street, 744 Neil Avenue. I'd like to have some comments on this as well.
Let me swear you in. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Would you repeat your name again for the record,
My name
please?
is Todd, TODD, Law, LAW.
And you're a neighbor.
Yes, 744 Neil Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, you have a seat. Who's presenting this one?
Myers. Okay, 777 Neil Avenue is located at the southeast corner of Neil Avenue and Buttles Avenue. The site is zoned, or will be zoned CBD Commercial Plan Development District, and is located within the Harrison West Society. 5.03 acre site is currently developed with a strip shopping center containing a CVS pharmacy, former grocery store, now closed, and several retail establishments. There is a mixture of multi-unit developments, retirement community, and various types of residential development in the area. The 5.03 acre site is being split. The western 2.682 acres will be rezoned to the AR3 apartment residential district and developed with a residential development, while the eastern 2.343 acres will be rezoned to CPD commercial plan development. The CPD portion will be developed with two buildings, a CVS pharmacy and a multi-tenant commercial building. Columbus Citywide planning policies state that wall signs should not obscure or interfere with architectural lines and details and should be sized to fit the building's facade design. Buildings should not be dominated by graphics and crowded or cluttered. Graphics arrangements should be avoided. Excessively large signs are discouraged, and all proposals will be reviewed for potential negative impacts on surrounding developments and neighborhoods. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Harrison West Society recommends approval. So just a quick breakdown of the plan. This is the proposed retail shop. You guys can see they'll have, this is the north elevation. We'll identify the major tenant of this use, and then the smaller tenants here. This is the south elevation, which would be directed towards, I guess, Collins, with one sign on the corner, and then the east elevation would be directed towards Neil Avenue. And then the next building would be the CVS. Again, the north elevation would be directed towards Buttles. South elevation, I guess, directed towards the interior of the site, and then the east elevation again towards Neil Avenue. City staff can recommend approval as the proposal meets the guidelines of the Columbus citywide planning policies. Staff does request that all white portions of signage be opaque and not emit light at night in order to reduce impacts to nearby residential located in the Victorian Village Historic District. With that, Mr. Chairman, we'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Wish to present your case.
Yes, Jamie, thank you very much. Appreciate the summary. This has been a lot of work over a long period of time that's involved a lot of neighborhood feedback. We're thrilled to have Harrison West's approval, support from the Development Commission, and to be here before you today. As I mentioned, a lot of the feedback from Harrison West has been factored into the building signage here. A couple things to clarify. Right now, the southern building, that's plus or minus 20,000 square feet, that is contemplated right now to be a single tenant building. Just for relevancy's sake, wanted to clarify that. The other piece Jamie wanted to clarify was about the white portion of the signage. Everything on Neil Avenue is externally illuminated. So we wanted to make sure that that was clear. And the signs on the north elevation above the main entry to that building, wanted to be sure that that wouldn't be an issue for those to be internally illuminated, seeing as they'll be facing a parking lot. So I didn't
So
know.
we can clarify the eastern signs are going to be externally illuminated,
Correct.
and all internal signs are internally illuminated.
On the southern building.
On the southern building.
Yes, on the southern building. Yes, that's correct.
Is that same thing occurring on the northern CVS or?
No, that was not, Harrison West didn't have the concern there. Their concern was on the north side of the CVS building. And in exchange for, actually CVS took all wall signage off that building. And instead there are blade signs at the corner of that building there. So it would just be that the concern from Harrison West is on the southern building for the external illumination for Neil Avenue.
Anything else?
I don't think so, David.
There are,
One correction.
yeah, members of the commission, there are amendment items, the graphics plan description. Your action should be on the version dated today, July 19th, and on, I went over this with Jamie, but on the east elevation of the CVS, this exhibit would replace the exhibit that was in your packets, and the difference is that Harrison West requested the drive-through pharmacy to be consolidated in the same block of the CVS wall sign rather than separate.
It had, in your package that was submitted, it's shown in the middle canopy, and their request had been that it be grouped to stack, so it's on the southernmost canopy facing Neil Avenue. That.
Thank you. Sir, did you want to speak to this case? Come forward, please.
Yes, I plan on living right across the street from this, and I have been for 25 years. And I'm quite surprised how out of the loop I've been never left or pushed out of the loop. I should.
Sir, can you sit down and use the microphone?
Oh, yes, sorry. But, yeah, I have been out of the loop on this because I never got any notices on meetings. I happened to be in Florida when a friend of mine notified me of the Harrison West meeting. They rolled this big out. I heard plenty of objections to this design, which I guess you don't have up anymore. Also the Victoria Building Society had a meeting on this a few days afterwards, which included several of the Victoria Village commissioners. And they said this is not appropriate design, period, for our neighborhood. We requested changes to be made, nothing happened. And now we're trying to determine what color lipstick to put on this pig. And I just don't understand why we're missing a once in a generation, once in a lifetime opportunity to make this fit the rest of the neighborhood. It hasn't since those historic houses were leveled like in the 60s or something to build this current strip mall. And we'd like to have something more in keeping with the architectural nature of the neighborhood, at least in the size of the buildings along New Avenue and on the corners there at Buttles and Collins. A little bit about myself. I was a secretary of the neighborhood representation on the Spring Sandusky Interchange Task Force that studied the traffic along New Avenue and determined at that time the Collins and Fifth, or Collins and Neal was the fifth most dangerous intersection in all of Columbus at that time, before the interchange was built for the new 670. And that corner was selected for special treatment. Now I noticed they just put a bump out, an island in that intersection. I don't know if that was part of this effort or what. That is a good thing. I'll give you that. But the impact of 500 some units they're planning on putting where the current strip mall is, plus the businesses along New Avenue with the parking lots. I feel further traffic studies are required, and I haven't heard or seen anything about that. Because we're talking, 500 units is 1,000 some people maybe living there. And at the meeting in February, they said they had a surprise tenant for the southern building that I have yet to hear who that was. They said they couldn't tell us because it wasn't in writing yet. And CVS, of course, is taking the northern building. And I understand at that time they told us that CVS did not want a multi-story building there because they didn't want anybody else sharing their surface parking. The next day, the University Commission announced their plans to put a 11-story building at the current CVS at High and Lane. And CVS is going to stay there with plenty of stories above it, sharing their surface parking lot. So I don't see how Ohio State University gets their way. The historic neighborhood, very protected historic neighborhood, does not. So why can't this be addressed in the people who are going to be most impacted, such as myself and my wife here? Out of the loop on this. I also, the same day I got this, I got a notice for the city council meeting coming up the 25th, where the zoning people are going to look at their variances to build this monstrosity. So
I do sympathize, sir, but this is not really the.
I know this is not forum. This is the only forum I've been allowed access to.
Well, I would suggest that you do take the opportunity to go to city council if that's true.
I fully intend to.
But in this particular case, we're ruling on the signage for the buildings, which they'll have to have. They'll take this whole package to city council or whatever, but we're really on the signage. And
so you approve the sign before you approve the building?
I don't know how that's to work, but apparently they've gotten some of their approvals taken care of, and now they're coming to us, and the signage will rule on basically on the signage merits. But thank you for coming.
So basically, you come back and do this again across the street, and that's it. Once you get their variance, they're done.
That's kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
Mr. Curry, do you have any idea who the tenant is yet, or is that still? And is it going to be, it's going to be a single tenant at one sign, is that the case, for one?
It's two single tenant buildings. Yes, the north building is CVS.
Yeah, and the southern building is currently, we have tentative agreements with a grocery user there.
Members of the commission, this project was impacted greatly by the pandemic, and it was start and stop and start and stop and so on, just relative to development issues and signing tenants. But this has been going, the zoning application will be heard by council on Monday, but I prepared the zoning application for Casco over 2 years ago. And there have been lots of hearings on this. Why the gentleman that spoke hasn't received other notices, I don't know, but there's been lots of meetings on this. And the redevelopment of the site is amazing and is supported by all recommending bodies. That will be on council Monday. So I don't need to tell you that this body, the Graphics Commission, is hearing the variance aspect, and the site redevelopment aspect of this, it has received many compliments in terms of the design and redeveloping probably a 1960s strip center site.
Dave, specifically the graphics portion of this, can you articulate video? No part in, so it's just part of the big plan.
As long as, in 3382.07, as long as sections D through F are met, that's all that's required.
Okay.
I did want to ask it. So how did the Victorian Village Commission meeting go with you guys?
From our perspective, we were required to meet with Harrison West Society.
Okay.
And Harrison West approved the rezoning.
Okay.
And the graphics.
So that was the
jurisdiction that we were required to meet with was Harrison West.
Oh, okay.
And we received other inquiries from Short North Lines, and what we had asked was for Harrison West obliged, they invited other community
that's great.
entities. So again, we were not in control of that. We wanted to make sure that the messaging, anybody who had an opinion, regardless of where lines were drawn, could opine. Obviously, we understand we're not going to please everyone. There's a number of layers that go into a development like this with an existing tenant like CVS that has many layers of control. We've really worked hard and tirelessly. Dave's been a wonderful guide through this process, but from our end, we've really driven hard to take feedback from the community and arrive at something we're very, very proud of and think that will be an asset to the community going forward. And the signage, especially in today's retail environment, we feel is tasteful, fits the architecture, and is really important to the operational success of the retail.
I saw in there the comments about the white backgrounds are opaque. I think it's well done too myself. I thought maybe Victorian Village had part, but you're exactly right. That's great. So you did go through your due diligence.
The community review jurisdiction is Harrison West, but Victorian Village, Short North Business, and others were well aware of it and were on some of the Harrison West meetings.
So a lot of this was done via Zoom. It wasn't until our last two meetings that so oftentimes we were at meetings and we didn't know which neighborhood group was present. But there were plenty of people participating. We knew there were many people from Short North. And when it came time to vote, the only people that could vote were Harrison West because that was the governing neighborhood.
The other question I had, and I don't need exact numbers, just your thoughts on it, but signage before and signage now, do you think you have less square footage than you had before or more? It just a gut feel on it.
Then what's on that? The strip center now,
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, we've reduced the retail footprint here by a third at least. So I would say that the square footage of the signage is less.
Yeah. Okay.
And with the balance of the externally illuminated signage, based on the Harrison West feedback, what CVS agreed to do on their north elevation, and balance what the tenants put on us in terms of sort of their mandates. We feel that this is a really nice blend that incorporates neighborhood feedback, staff comments, and understanding we wish we could please everyone. We know that's not realistic, but we feel like this is a heck of a project and a heck of a sign package.
Yeah, no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you all.
It's a little odd, or may I say something as to why you're coming to us before?
Yeah, me too.
Why we're coming here before council is an excellent
Yes.
question. It's because, and we were talking about it on the way in, oftentimes the retailers, before they want to know that that's how important it is. They want to know the signage is approved before the final note is there.
Okay, graphics plan, let's vote on this.
Mr. Hoyt,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Is that motion with the amendments for 719 description? And
All that has to be a part of the package that I'm going to sign.
Yep, very good. Okay.
Exhibit B, I think is what.
Yeah, the revised CDS Neil Avenue elevation. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you all very much.
I'll have to be. You have no further business? What happened to the other guys?
Where there's, David and Brian both had to recuse themselves. I got they carried about the seat.
Oh.
I understand. People with, so that's, I think, get a notice like this. So sorry. Or,
Yeah.
swear.
Well, it's not-
For, so I get,